habits that brings good evidence, it's good evidence to add that to trying to change another habit of alcohol, and also other bad habits and that. So that's good through the video. بسبب التأثير كنت أنا personal page that the بسبب Facebook and the YouTube channel. If you haven't joined the bسبب group, it is an amazing group of over 200 people who are looking to change the habit of pattern business and completely live it out of their life. It's also designed to get you through that first 30 days of being able to have free on the online. So you can find on YouTube as well. So that folks you can just search. Can you hear me now? A little bit of microphone. We need a new microphone. Can you hear me now? Having some technical difficulties. Still, hold on. Let me just try this. Can you hear me now? Is that any better? That's good. So guys, that is again with this microphone. Can you hear me now? Is that any better? It is the sound of hold on.
Let's try that. Is that any better? Let's try something different. Is it any better now? It's better now? Awesome. All right, we got the audio fixed. Sorry, guys. It is live. So anyways, today we're going to be talking about creating bad habits and the 4 laws of behavior change. I guess I have to go get myself a new microphone today sometime. Anyways, so yeah, that is what we're going to be talking about. So just medical warning, if you can't go more than 1 to 2 hours without a drink, quitting can be dangerous. You need to seek medical attention. If you cannot do that, if you're having extreme withdrawal symptoms, those kinds of things, please seek medical attention. But if you can go more than 1 to 2 hours without a drink and you think you just have a problem with drinking, then you're in the right place. There's a difference between a problem drinker and alcoholic. An alcoholic is physically addicted to alcohol, and a problem drinker is just psychologically addicted. So before we begin, I just want everyone's good with the sound. All right, let's move on to this. Now, before we begin, you got to understand this. Now, this is a chart that I found in the book Atomic Habits, and it's pretty interesting, this chart. So on the side here, you have your results, right? You have, the results you want to get. So most of us for this video anyways is the result of being alcohol-free. Now, there's a line here that comes straight across here, and it's what you think you should happen. So this is how most people think that any journey in their life is going to just be a straight line, and it's going to be fantastic, and you're just going to keep going up until you reach your goal. But what actually happens is there's something called the Valley of Disappointment. Has anybody ever heard of the Valley of Disappointment? What the Valley of Disappointment is basically this line right here. It seems like nothing's happening at this point. There's nothing happening. And most people quit in this Valley of Disappointment because they don't see any results. They don't see anything happening. They think it's hopeless. And what really is happening is you're actually building these tiny micro habits over time. And these are compounding slowly but surely. And eventually, if you stick with your goal, if you stick with the habit, if you stick with doing what you're doing, boom, it takes off and it skyrockets up like this. So it's just like anything in life. Compound interest, the compound effect, compound interest, whatever you want to call it, is always it's slow at first, but then it's exponential growth. So if you can get through this valley of despair, definitely we'll be able to get to this exponential growth. So so that is just something that really helped me to understand that there is, even in business and life and anything, there is something called the latent potential, and the results aren't going to be sometimes they don't come as quickly as you think they would, and that actually is why, because there's that that valley of latent potential, plateau of latent potential. And now habits are created by identity. Your habits start from your identity, okay? And then you go on to process and then outcomes. If you still see yourself as a drinker and missing out, you'll continue to feel lost and self-sabotage all the time. See, there's this chart here. It's just the 3 layers of behavior change. So in the middle is identity. That's where everything starts. Then you go to processes, and then you get your outcomes. Most people they start setting goals at outcomes, and they look at the processes, and they don't ever change this identity. And this identity is locked up in your subconscious mind. This identity is also where you're going to find that, if you see yourself as an alcoholic that can't be changed, that has some sort of a disease, you're never going to get where you need to go with alcohol, because you haven't changed your identity to a non-drinker, a person that doesn't drink. You're never going to set those habits and those things in your life, set them up to become that person. They become a person who doesn't need alcohol in their life to relieve stress or anxiety or whatever. So it all starts with identity, with your habits. So the real concept of this whole video today is the 4 laws of behavior change. So the 4 laws are the cue. So the cue, which is the trigger, the craving, the response, and the reward. It's that habit loop, right? So you get the trigger, the craving, the response, and the reward. Now, if you're trying to make a good habit, you want the trigger to be obvious, you want the craving to be attractive, you want your response to be easy, and you want your reward to be satisfying. That's if you're creating a good habit. But there's also the flip side to this. So creating a good habit, you make it obvious, you make it attractive, you make it easy, you make it satisfying. But to eliminate a bad habit, like we're trying to do with alcohol, it's kind of the opposite. So instead of making it obvious, let's make it invisible, okay? Instead of making it attractive, let's make it unattractive. Let's make it difficult, and let's make it unsatisfying. That's kind of throwing this whole thing on its head and turning it around and trying to do the complete opposite of what you're trying to do with a good habit. So we're going to want to make it invisible. We want to make it unattractive. We want to make it difficult, and we want to make it unsatisfying to us to continue on with that habit. So to get it, like I said, to get rid of a bad habit, we need to invert these. Okay. So let's ask yourself, how can I make alcohol invisible? How can I make it unattractive? How can I make it hard to get? How can I make it unsatisfying? See, like I said before in the last video, this is the habit loop. So you have the trigger. With this one, it says it's hunger is the trigger. So eating is the result of the routine that you have after the trigger, and the reward is that you feel full and energy and continue on with the day. All habits work like this, and your knowledge going forward is going to be powerful for you to be going forward. Now, we're kind of reversing this. So you want to make these triggers invisible. So you want to set up in your environment so you don't have the triggers there. You want to make it unattractive. So that's all about just kind of learning more about alcohol and what it actually does to your body, what it does to your mind, what it does to your anxiety, your stress, your depression. It actually makes it worse. It doesn't make it better, because it is a poison, right? It is an addictive poison that they've tricked us into thinking it solves these problems when it really doesn't. And once you realize that, you can make it hard to get by not having it in the house, by making it harder to go to the store, by leaving your bank card behind if you're going out, whatever you need to do. And then how you can make it unsatisfying by, just getting rid of that cognitive dissonance and training your subconscious mind to see alcohol for what it really is. So that's unsatisfying and unattractive kind of go together. So the first law of change is the cue, or the trigger. Cue signal that a reward is available, and your brain can constantly be on the lookout for rewards. Okay. So that is why you have to make it invisible in your current environment, because you could be, and I asked this question in the Motivation to Quit Alcohol group yesterday, is what other than alcohol is in your environment that's triggering you to want to drink? What thing other than alcohol is there? Is there a certain place you sit in a chair? Is there a certain room you are sitting in? Is there a certain TV show that you watch when you're drinking? Is there a certain tray or shot glass or whatever that you have in your house that's triggering your cravings? Because it's not only the alcohol that's triggering these things. It's also things in our environment. Like, say if I always drank in this chair could be a trigger for me to continue drinking. So not that I can just throw this chair out the window, but what I want to do is maybe not sit in that chair anymore. Maybe go to a different room completely. Maybe I can get the liquor out of my house completely. And if you live with someone who is still drinking, that might be a little bit difficult, but you can remove yourself from those situations. If it's a person, you can remove yourself at the time being, just until you can get this a little bit more under control. It doesn't mean you won't be able to be around it ever, just until you can get past the cravings and create a new habit that is better suited for you, because you are going to be a non-drinker. No, but removing the triggers, you will have an easier time. And it might not be just liquor that triggers you. Like I said, it could be your favorite chair, or it could be a certain person. It could be a certain music or song. And understanding these triggers will help you cut down on the triggers that you have. You don't have to get rid of people forever, just until you have created the new identity of being a non-drinker. So let's just start being aware of our triggers and how you can remove them today. If you find yourself thinking about drinking, ask yourself, what triggered that? Was it a person in my environment? Was it a place in my environment? Was it a thing in my environment? Was it a certain glass? Was it a certain, thing? Like maybe a certain shot glass or a certain, I don't know what triggers you, but you've obviously taken some of this stuff in from your subconscious mind. So these things are attached to you drinking. Can I break this pattern by going to another room? Can I remove these things from my life until I can figure this out? So those are all the kind of questions you want to ask yourself today. If you're struggling with cravings and those kinds of things, like what in your environment needs to change? Not only just alcohol, but also other things that need to change, just to kind of get your mind out of that craving area. So yeah, that is the first law of habit change, is the cue or the trigger. So that is, if it's your family that is triggering you, well, like I said, you're not going to have to get rid of these people completely out of your life. And it's kind of unreasonable to ask, someone to get rid of their family members or those kinds of things, especially loved ones, spouses, people in your life that are going to be drinking. And that's the whole point of, changing your identity around alcohol and understanding, getting your mind right around it and getting your identity right around it and getting your thoughts and feelings around it to a point where you see alcohol not as a benefit to you. So even if those people are drinking around you, you're not going to be, triggered anymore. But for the time being, unfortunately, we're just going to have to kind of remove ourselves from as much as we can from those people and those situations if they're triggering us to have cravings and things like that, until we can start working on our subconscious mind and working on the things that are going to help us see alcohol for what it is, and see alcohol as not having a benefit. Because once we see it as not having a benefit, and once you can get your subconscious mind right, and that cognitive dissonance kind of goes away, then you'll be able to, not only be around it, but you'll be able to be around it and see it for what it really is, as a poison. And you'll kind of be wondering why these other people are drinking a poison like that. So unfortunately, you're going to have to just kind of remove yourself as much as you can from those people until you can kind of get your mind right around your subconscious beliefs and your cognitive dissonance, those kinds of things. So anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the second habit, the second behavioral change, which is cravings. Again, we talked a little bit about cravings today, but we're going to go a little bit more into it, and we're going to how to make cravings unattractive is going to be the video tomorrow. I'm sorry about the sound. I guess I will have to figure out my microphone tomorrow. Anyways, have yourselves, guys, a meaningful day, and we will see you guys tomorrow. If you're interested in getting, one-to-one coaching, I do have a program that's starting on June 7th, and we will definitely be adding more people to it. There's still spots open, so if you want to look into that program, you can just DM me, or you can also you can DM me, and I'll put a link to my calendar, and we can book a quick chat to see if the program's right for you. But anyways, guys, have yourselves a meaningful day. Sorry about the sound. I will get my microphone all figured out tomorrow. Have yourselves a meaningful day.